name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Succession Season 1, and this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch my review because I will be going in depth. Now, this is a show I've heard lots of great things about, and I went in pretty skeptical because I've heard so many great things about so many shows that just ended up disappointing me, and these episodes are over an hour long each, so I was a bit worried about going into this show, and I have to say that the show was indeed great. I did really like this show. Now let's begin with the biggest positive of this show. What's it going to be? What do you think it's going to be? It's the music. The music by Nicholas Britell is absolutely incredible. Like, this is the greatest score I've heard in a TV show, I think, ever. Like, it is an absolute incredible musical score. It amplifies every single scene it is in. It adds a grander scope to the story going on. It has this nice mix of old music and new music, which really goes well with the show and its themes. I just love the music here. But another huge positive of this show is the cast. The cast is all incredible. Jeremy Strong is great in this show. The only other thing that I think I've seen him in was The Trial of the Chicago 7, and he wasn't good in it. But no, he's really great in this show. He kind of reminded me of the character Jamie from the TV show Yellowstone, played by Wes Bentley. There's lots of similarities between the two of them, but I actually think Jeremy Strong does a better job with this type of character. Like, you understand why he is the way that he is, but he's also such a complete dick in moments. And some of the things he does, you're just like, oh my goodness, that's so awful of you, but I kind of understand it. And there's lots of morally gray situations involving this guy, and I thought he displayed that incredibly well. The next performance I'm going to talk about is probably my favorite performance in the entire show, and that's Kieran Carkin. I think he's excellent in this show. He has this huge personality that every single scene that he's present in, he brings it to life. He has this huge personality that I absolutely loved. I thought he was really funny, and he just plays this character Woman so perfectly. Fantastic performance. Then we got Alan Wuck. That's right, Cameron himself from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's in the show, and he also does a really good job. But if I'm being honest, he's probably one of the least interesting characters. Like, I hope he has more to do in the latter seasons, but he still does a good job with the material given to him in this season. And then we got Sarah Snook, who I've remembered from a movie called Predestination. That is a really great, underrated sci-fi movie. She was great in that, and she's excellent here. Like, you think that this character is going to be the one good person, that she's going to be the person with some common sense and some human decency. But then as the season progresses, it kind of starts to dawn on you that no, she's not a good person. She's just as awful as the rest of them. And she portrays that so perfectly. And then we got Brian Cox, who's also fantastic in this show. You can tell that everyone has a lot of respect for him. But the show also highlights the flaws of his character too. That you can understand how this character, how this dad caused his kids to be the way that they are. So it also highlights his flaws, and Brian Cox just portrays it so perfectly. And then we got Nicholas Braun, who I've seen him in plenty of movies before, and he's never impressed me. And as the season began, I didn't really like his character at all. He was definitely the least interesting one. But as the season progresses, I started to like his character more and more, and not in a good way. Like, at first he represents this naive point of view, but as the season progresses, you start to understand that he doesn't look at these people and thinks to himself, oh, I don't want to be anything like these terrible, awful people. No, he wants to be just like them. He looks up to them in some way. And by the end, it becomes clear that he's on the same path that they all went on, and Nicholas Braun just portrays it perfectly. Then we got Masu Mcfadain. I hope I pronounced that properly. I've never heard of this actor before, but I thought he was really great in this show. Like, really great. I think this character is really interesting because when he's with Greg, he bullies him, he belittles him. He's like the big, tough, strong, intimidating figure in Greg's life. But when he's around anyone else, he's the one that gets bullied. He's the one who's belittled. And I think to see that change in power dynamic with his character is really interesting throughout. And I do like his and Greg's relationship and how it progresses by the end of season 1. You do buy every character beat, and by the end, they did a good job with that storyline. The rest of the cast I didn't mention is also fantastic, and each and every character is so fully developed, and there's 2 episodes in particular that flesh them out in really interesting ways. The first one is a family therapy session where people actually get to talk about their feelings and how they ended up the way that they did, and you just get to see every relationship at work here, and it reveals true character motivations and true character pains, and I just thought that episode was so well written. And then we also got another episode where they go out for Tom's bachelor party and everyone gets completely wasted, and you know when you're drunk, you reveal your true character? Well, you get to see that in this episode. Everyone's completely wasted by the end of the night, and you just get to see how empty and how pathetic all these characters really are. How they haven't gotten over things from their childhood. How they choose to remember certain things about their childhood. It reveals what the characters want and what they need, and it just highlights this all in such interesting ways. And that's even highlighted as early as episode 2, where Logan is about to die. He's in the hospital. They think he could die any minute. And at first, they're worried about him. But then they begin talking about the company and who's going to do what after he dies. And then the focus shifts away entirely from, oh, I hope Dad's okay, to, no, you don't get to do that after he's gone. I'm doing that. And it just reveals how little these characters care about each other and how they all just use each other in their game of chess. How they all just view each other as pawns in their bigger games, in their bigger goals. And they're all absolute garbage human beings. Like, there were many times in this season where I couldn't help but laugh at just how terrible these people are. Like, just when you thought some people couldn't get worse, they find a way. And your response is just to laugh. But not just that, there are many times in this show where I genuinely found it funny. Like, this is a really funny show, surprisingly. And I'm not even sure if they meant to make it as funny as it is. Because at no point does it feel like, oh, this character's making a funny joke. No, it just feels really authentic. It feels true to these characters and what they would say in certain situations. And it made me laugh a whole bunch. And I was just thinking to myself, did they mean to make this show as funny as it is? Because it is really funny, but it all comes across in such a genuine fashion that really impressed me. I also loved how this season showcases how people use swearing to gain control over a certain situation. Like, there's so many moments where somebody would have lost control entirely, but instead of arguing with someone back, they'll just like, fuck off, and then they start engaging in that kind of way. And there's many scenes that do that, and I just found it to be very fascinating about how some people use swearing as a crutch, how they use it to assert themselves in a conversation, and I thought that stuff was incredibly fascinating. Episode 6, The Vote of No Confidence, is an incredible episode that, oh my god, like, this episode was just thrilling. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, what's going to happen? And it also reveals plenty about Kendall and Woman. How Kendall puts himself in these kind of situations. And how Woman is just so weak that he can't make up his decision without someone else in the room with him. You know, if Kendall was in that room, Woman would have voted with Kendall. But because Logan was in that room, Woman ended up voting with his dad. Just lots of character revealing moments. I thought that entire episode was just fantastic. There's lots of great episodes. I will say that it takes a little while to get going. Like, the first few episodes, I'm like, okay, this is good, but I'm not hooked yet. But the second half of this season is just excellent. I thought it was really strong stuff. Another complaint I have is in the first bit of this season, I realized that they were doing zoom-ins a lot. And a few times, okay, fine, but they overdid it. And it kind of gave the show a documentary type of feel to it, which I didn't really like. I don't really think it worked. But that said, I don't think the zoom-ins were in the second half of this season much at all. And if they were, then I just didn't notice them. Another complaint, okay, this one might not even be a real complaint. It's a nitpick, I admit that. But every episode begins with a scene, then we get the opening credits, and then the episode plays out. But in episode 8, the one where it focuses on Tom's bachelor party, the episode begins and it goes straight to the opening credits. It's like they're missing a scene before it. And I don't know, it broke up the formula in a way that just annoyed me. It just annoyed me. But my last negative is actually the big one. The main reason why I'm not giving this show a higher rating, and it's because of the car crash. Like I said, the second half of this season is superior than the first half, and season 9 was just another amazing episode of television, and the first half of the season finale was really great stuff. But then it started to slow down for a bit. I'm just like, okay, like the first half of this episode was really excellent, but I was just kind of waiting, like, is anything else going to happen now? Like, we still got a half hour left. And then we got Kendall looking for cocaine. He gets into a car accident which results in someone else's death. And this just doesn't work for me as of right now. I don't like what they did there. Because it's such a huge deal that Kendall did what he did. He screwed his entire family over. He succeeded. Like, that's really great stuff. It changes the dynamics, it changes the bigger story. I was loving what they were doing with Kendall. But then, now it looks like they're shying away from that. That he's not going to go forward with it, and that Logan will still be the head of the company. And I haven't heard anything about season 2. I hope that's not the direction they take it. But I don't like it if that is. I don't. I compared him to Jamie from Yellowstone earlier in this video. And one big complaint I have about Jamie in Yellowstone is that it feels like he's going to be his own character. That he's going to take control. But every time he's about to get to that point, he backs away. And I hate that. I hate that about that character. And with Kendall, he did the vote of no confidence that went wrong. And then we got this other opportunity. And for 2 huge character moments for Kendall to go the opposite way. The first one, okay, still a great episode. But the second one is bounced off of what happened after the first attempt. And for both of them to go wrong now, I don't like that. And I don't like it that it's being done through the use of this car crash. You know, I get it. Car crashes happen in real life. It's a thing that happens. But anytime a major plot point in a show or a movie is because of a car accident, because of something completely out of the character's control, it feels less natural and more contrived to me. I'm not saying it could never happen. I'm just saying that it's less character driven, it's less plot driven, and more artificially driven. Like it's a screenwriter being like, well, we need some way for this not to happen, so what if he got into a car accident? And I get that he's in the car accident because he was looking for cocaine, and that's really true in his character, because by that point, he's doing drugs again. But I'm just saying that it still didn't work for me. It felt contrived. It felt like it came out of nowhere. It didn't give me a satisfying payoff to the entire season that was building to this moment. And not only was he in that car crash, but he left his room card in there too. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. It really doesn't. Yeah. I felt like the season up until that point was really amazing. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see what they do in the latter seasons. And now some of that excitement is gone. Like, I still think this is a really great season of television. It really is. But the way it ended left me less excited for season 2 than I was before I started that final episode. So I guess we'll wait and see. I don't know what direction they'll take in the story for season 2. I've heard season 2 is even better than season 1. So maybe in my review for the second season, I'm like, I was wrong, guys. That was the perfect decision. I loved it. Really great stuff. I hope I say that. I hope I get to. But I don't know yet as of now. So yeah, anyways, this is a really great season of television. The cast all does an amazing job. Everyone. The characters are fully developed, it's entertaining, it's funny, I was constantly engaged with what was going on. The music by Nicholas Britell is absolutely incredible. Yeah, it ends in a spot where I'm a bit iffy on the direction they're going to take these characters in this story, but up until that point, everything was so fantastic that I still have to go into the second season with some sense of optimism. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and give Succession Season 1 an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Succession Season 1? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.